Hello and welcome to the Work for Change podcast. It's your boy, Jean, spelled like Jean.
And your boy, John, with a silent H. Welcome to episode number 38 of the most fantastic podcast on the planet.
Our intro is just going to get like more and more
ridiculous.
Just add little things every single time. No.
The Work for Change podcast experience. But today's episode, we actually interviewed my friend Maynor. And so on Instagram, it's that big guy 700. So he used to be 700 pounds. I mean, this episode, it's been a long time since we had a straight up episode where we focused on weight loss.
Yeah.
So we know that a lot of you guys that are listening are, people that want to lose weight, or you're just interested in that. So it was exciting to get this episode out to you guys. So
yeah, and I think it was really good. Like, he's 100% open about everything he talks about, and so it's like really good, like especially for people who like with just the mindset of it. Like we talk about in the podcast, he's got like an athlete mindset. He's got I don't care if I fail, I'm not going to quit. And I thought that was really, really good. Mm-hmm. Like, so many of us are afraid of failure, and that's why we don't do things. But it's not the failure you need to be afraid of; it's you need to be afraid of quitting. Don't quit.
And we were able to really dive into the mindset that he was having when, had that click moment, or just the, his rock bottom moment, which I think is incredibly important and something that I like to kind of figure out. And I guess I'm kind of annoying about it, but I really want to know what it was that made someone make a change. He's lost 238 pounds already. Like, I mean, it's an unbelievable story. It's an unbelievable story and unbelievably inspiring. And I'm really excited for people to listen to this because, I mean, he's just such a cool guy, very relaxed, and like Jean said, very open about every single part of his journey. And so I really think this is going to help a lot of people. And so, like, even at a point where it might even seem selfish, like, you're probably not at a point where your journey is going to be as long as his, right? So the fact that he's able to be as positive as he is when his journey is going to be so long is really awesome, and I really, really respect that about him. So I'm excited for you guys to listen to this one.
Yep, and if you guys are listening, be sure to screenshot it, put it on your social, tag us at Jean Glaude, at Obese to Beast. We love to repost it. We love to talk with you guys. You guys send me DMs, send both of us DMs about certain podcast episodes and stuff like that. So it's really cool. It's super awesome. Keep on doing it.
Also, I want to say, if you normally watch on YouTube, we're sorry the last one didn't go up. There was a corrupted file or something like that, and it just kind of, the video disappeared. So we're sorry about that, but we want to say that we noticed that happened, and it's not like we just didn't do it. Just we couldn't. So
yep. But I hope you guys enjoy this episode 38 of the Work for Change podcast.
All right, cool. Let's get into it. All right, so Maynor, we are stoked to have you on the podcast. You're someone that I've been following for a while. I honestly don't even remember how it came about, like how I first saw your page. I think maybe you might have tagged me in something. I honestly can't really remember exactly, but I remember I saw your page and I was just like blown away from the get-go, because your handle on Instagram is that big guy 700, right? And so that's about how you started your journey at 700 pounds, correct?
Yes, correct.
And so for me, I started my journey 360 pounds. It's not like I was small by any means, but there's definitely levels of like obesity, right? And I really feel like I was getting to the point where immobility was going to become a problem for me.
Right.
And that was a scary thought for me. So being like 700 pounds, I can only imagine. And I definitely really want to get into what life was like when you were at your heaviest, because I think that it's unbelievably inspiring seeing you in the gym every day. Like you kill it. You kill it in the gym. And so like really, if you guys are listening to this podcast and you haven't been to his Instagram, seriously go check it out, because it's awesome. But before we get we get into how you being 700 pounds and stuff like that, I'm really curious about your early life and how you got to that point, because I definitely believe there's when you get to that size, there's things that happened earlier in your life that maybe almost like helped you along, I guess you could say. So,
Right.
you know, like what was your life like growing up and, you know, getting to that point?
Well, honestly, I have been big all my life. There hasn't been one moment in my life that I haven't been big. And like, I don't want to say I had a harsh life because I feel like I honestly had a good life. I had, good people around me. It was just the situations that you get in when you're a certain size. Especially for me, like I said, I grew up in Chicago, born and raised. And when you're a certain size, it's like people look at you different, as in, he must do something, he must be something, and people like picking on you. It's almost like that prison mentality where it's like you got to challenge the biggest person. And it's like because of my size, I was always a target of bullies.
Uh-huh.
And we got to a point where uh, I stopped allowing myself to get taken over by bullies. I stopped allowing myself to get bullied by other people, and the more I got into this mindset of like I'm done with it, I'm not gonna let no one push me over, none of that. I try to replace a lot of my emotions, because emotions like they were heavy, especially when you're growing up, especially when you're like a teenager, the emotions can be heavy and all that. So I used any way or form to like try to not block, like replace the emotions. And food very quickly, like, became a very big part of, trying to numb my emotions. If I felt sad, eat. If I felt happy, eat. No matter how I felt, I would eat, and that's how I use it. I use it as emotions. And, you know, with time, it just got, out of hand to the point where, because I remember it wasn't before I even hit 700 pounds. I probably, it was like at 500. I was still trying to lose weight at 500, and I finally hit this point where it's like, man, I'm done. Like I was done, and I gave up. So that's how I got to the 700 pound.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about like how before you get to 700 pounds, I'm assuming like you kind of just said there were times that you tried to lose weight and it didn't work out. So like what were those times like when you were trying to lose weight before? Were you doing stuff like what are you doing differently now that you weren't doing then that you feel like you're having success now?
Man, when I remember, because I like I said, yeah, you're right. This isn't the first time I've tried to lose weight. I've actually lost count. I've tried plenty of times. And when you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to find the easiest, the quickest way, because it's like you want to lose the weight fast. So I would try anything and everything, and nothing ever happened. And I would never stick with anything for a long period of time. And the difference is now I'm not trying no gimmicks. I'm not doing everything I hear online or on TV. It's like I'm just trying to do clean eating, hard work, stuff like trying to be consistent. Like consistency is a big key in what I'm doing now, because I wasn't consistent before. Like maybe I would go a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month max, and then I'd be like, whatever, and I would leave it. And now I'm going on like 3 years on this current, run of the journey, and like it's just, being consistent with it, like being patient with it, and understanding that it's not gonna happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
What were there like? So consistency is huge. Like we literally just spent the entire last podcast we recorded basically talking about consistency, talking about the necessity of keep on going even when you don't feel like it. The first couple times, were you looking for a plan or like lose weight quick kind of thing and it just wasn't working? Or was it literally just a matter of you knew everything that you had to do, you just didn't want to like do it for the long haul? Like what was the reason the first ones didn't work?
I think it was a combination of both. Like I said, there's always different manners to lose weight. There's so many diets now, and I guess these didn't happen now. This was back when I was a teenager, but even then, there was a lot of different diets, a little different. You had the Atkins diet. You had everything now that's happening nowadays that people think it's new. It's not new. It's been around since I can remember.
Yeah.
And I tried doing everything, and I could just never like be consistent with it. I never gave it my all. I always half-assed it.
Yeah.
And like I said, now it's different. Now it's like you get to a point where it's like you know what you have to do already. It's not like you don't know. It's like even after so many years of failures, you collect knowledge of what you should be doing and not be doing. Now the thing is, you got to apply that knowledge, and that's the hard part. Like knowing is not enough, wanting is not enough. Like you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things, especially like when you have hundreds of pounds to lose, is accepting the fact that it's going to take a while. I remember when I had to lose, or not I had to, but when I decided to lose my weight, one of the biggest things for me was accepting the weight that I was and accepting how long the journey was going to be. And like in reality, it really, like, even if it takes you 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to lose the weight, in the long scheme of things, and as long as your life is, that really is just a small amount of time, right? And the hardest thing is maintaining the weight loss for sure. But I think one of the things that a lot of people struggle with that have a lot of weight to lose is literally thinking about how much weight it is that you're actually trying to lose. You know, like realizing this is going to take a while. It's not going to be this quick thing. I can't focus on these 12-week transformations and think, oh, I'm going to make so much progress by just losing the weight super quick. It's like, no, this is going to take a good amount of time. And almost it's about getting out of that sense of denial of, oh, I can do this fast. It's like, no, this is going to take a while. And this is going to be something that I need to completely shift a lot of things in my life to work with this.
Like, even now that you said that, like, even though I'm in 3 years now, like, I still get those moments where like yesterday, I'm killing it at the gym. I'm doing what I'm doing. I feel good. I finally have control over my body, and I'm losing the weight. But the thing is, when you hit 700 pounds, it's like you got to lose the weight twice. You know what I'm saying? It's like you know, and that's the hardest part. Where it's like I'm here in this situation. I'm like in the best shape of my life technically, but I'm still obese. I'm still got to lose so much weight, and sometimes that does get to you. And you're right. Sometimes when that happens, you have to really talk to yourself. Where it's like, all right, it didn't take you so and so many years to gain this weight. It's not going to take you so and so many years to lose the weight. Like, no, it's a process. You got to be patient. You got to put in the work. There's going to be slip ups. There's going to be setbacks. That's just part of the process. But the key is to get up and keep going. So yeah, I agree 100%.
So you said that at like 500 you were trying to lose weight, and then finally when you got to 500 you're kind of like, all right, you know what, whatever, this is who I am.
Actually, yeah, I think a little bit more heavier. Okay. 500, I think. Yeah.
So like, what was your mindset from that weight to 700? Like, I don't know how long it took you, but like, were you just kind of like done? Like, what was your mindset in that time?
It was very dark, like very, very dark. It was, man, like I pretty much shut myself off. Like after a certain point, I just shut myself off from the rest of the world. I just want to be left alone. Like I felt depressed. I had anxiety, and at this point where I was already like at that done point, that's when I was at my darkest, where it was like, all right, let's see how many days I have left here, like how long I have longer here, like how long can my body sustain this, or when am I gonna, like, it was a very dark situation, a very dark mentality, and it was like that for a while. Like,
dude, that is so powerful, because like I wasn't even anywhere near at my heaviest where you were at 700 pounds, but I would have feelings like that of just being like, well, what's the point even, like, in trying? And like, I always say at my heaviest, I felt like I was just existing. Like I wasn't living. And I was just like, why should I? Because I had tried to lose weight so many times. So it's like, I felt like I was a failure in that. So even the thought of, until I had my click moment, the thought of even trying to lose weight, I was like, why would I, in my head, it was like, why would I try this thing that I'm just going to fail at anyways? So I might as well enjoy my life, in quotes, right? Because in reality, I was just sitting and watching Netflix and eating chips, right? Like there was nothing that I was doing. And so that feeling, man, it's tough. Like it's tough to be in that position and try and get out of it. And that's like, that position that you just explained is what I want to save people from. Because that is dangerous, man. Because it might sound dramatic, but it really is it's a form of like self-harm, and you're just kind of slowly killing yourself. And some people get to a point where they're just okay with that, and then they accept that, and then they end up, sadly, they end up dying, being morbidly obese, and without ever really trying to make a change. And I truly think, and this could be getting into something else, but I truly think that most people that are that size, they do want to lose the weight, but it's just you feel like you're lost, and so I completely relate to that, and it's a scary place to get, and I don't want people to get there. So like that's like that place you explained, that mentality is what I try and save people from, because it's hard to get out of there, man. It really, really is hard.
And see, it's funny that you say that because, like I told you before, you were literally one of the first people I started following, and it was before I even had Instagram. But as far as just weight loss in general, I used to like, when I used to be on YouTube, when I first started, I didn't know what to start. You know what I'm saying? And then I looked up, I forgot what I typed in, and you popped up, and I saw a bunch of your videos, and I started watching them, and that's when I really got more into like, okay, it is possible, and this was like I said 3 years ago, I think, this is when I really first started and all that, and and the thing is that you say that, right? The reason you're saying that, I mean, the reason you're doing this and the reason I'm doing it is because I feel like it's perfect what you just said. You understand these situations, you understand these feelings, like you understand how dark things can get, how low a person's will can get, right? To the point of just giving up. And that that feeling, right? Me that I know that feeling. Like it's like I feel like it's almost like a responsibility where it's like, to let people know it's okay to feel these things. Just because you're in this situation, just because you're in this mindset or this dark place, it doesn't mean it's over. It doesn't mean you cannot not make a change. And that's why I love what you do. That's why I love your videos, because that's what you do. With the community, and I appreciate that.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I mean, it's my passion, right? It's why I started the channel. It's why I still do it now. It's to save people from that position. Now, I kind of wanted to talk about, when you first started losing weight, because me and my brother, we were just watching your video with Nike. That video is awesome, by the way. But in the video, it starts with you. The day that you decided to start losing weight, you have your phone out or whatever, and you're recording yourself, 700 pounds. Today's the day that I want to change. One, I want to know, like, what made you want to film that video? Because I wish I had something like that. That would be so cool to be able to look back at a video of the day. Because for me, the day that I decided to lose weight, I didn't tell anybody. I just kind of went for it and started losing weight slowly on my own, right? I didn't make a big, like a statement to anybody or even to myself. So I think that's cool. And then just like what was going through your head, what was your, click moment if you had one?
Man, honestly, my click moment, like I did that video, but that video was actually, I think, a couple months, I think a month or 2 months before I actually had my click moment.
Wow.
And like at my heaviest, I was at 700 pounds, right? That's when I hit the heaviest, and I had a leg infection. I didn't know how I got it and all that. I was actually in Ohio when I had it, and when it first hit me, I thought it was just a fever. We drove back to Chicago. It wasn't like I felt worse. We went to the hunters. I had a leg infection, so I went in there, and we thought it was going to be, in and out, antibiotics, whatever. I was in there, and I was in there for 10 days.
Wow.
So I went in, and it was normal. They gave me antibiotics. I fell asleep, and the next day I had like boils on my leg. It looked like someone grabbed a torch and just like went over my leg.
Wow.
And I was like, what the hell? What happened? I was so scared, And they finally, they took me to this room. And in this room, I had to wait. Like, I don't know how many hours, because they had to wait for a special bed just so I can fit in, right? So finally, we get into the room. And maybe it was faith. Maybe it was just life, or, trying to be like, all right, mate, this is your moment. This is time to wake up. And where I was at, where the position of the bed was, there was like a light fixture where the lights at, and it had no light, and it had no like plastic cover or nothing. So all it had was like a reflection. So it was pretty much like just a mirror just looking down on me.
Yeah.
And for so many years, I try to avoid looking at myself. For so many years, I try to avoid my truth. And that's like the hardest thing, trying to like run away from the truth. And at that moment, I couldn't walk away because my leg was just killing me. Even if I did, I couldn't even go far because I would die just trying to catch my breath. So I had no other choice but to face, who I really was or what I became, in the eye. And I forgot, like, after so many days, I had an emotional breakdown. Like, I had an emotional breakdown where it's like, I just lost it. And if it wasn't for my old man, I probably wouldn't have got through it. But that was the moment where I kind of started waking up, where it's like, man, like it's time. Like, like it's like I don't want this to be my end. I don't want it to be like when people talk about me, it's like, oh yeah, he reached this underweight and he died at the hospital. I didn't want that to be my legacy, So from there, like I said, I started watching your videos, Possible Pat's videos, Fat Girl Fed Up. I even started watching Gary Vee, which is the reason I got into social media and all that. And I'm like, all right, I don't know what. It's like I knew I had something, but I was like, I don't know what I have here. And the reason I started documenting, the reason I started doing that video you talk about, it wasn't even to post on social media. It was just because I wanted to find a way to talk to myself, because that's like the hardest thing when you finally understand the truth of of these things. It's the hardest part is to have that conversation with yourself, and that video was pretty much just me having that conversation with myself, letting me know, this is where you at, but it doesn't have to be the end. So it was just me trying to hype myself up, and it worked because I'm here right now. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, when you're explaining about being in the bed and seeing the reflection, that is. I remember when I was at my heaviest, like, people ask me, do you remember what it was like? Do you remember what you looked like? And I honestly have no idea or recollection of what I looked like with a shirt off or, like, naked, right? Because the only time I took my shirt off was to shower, and then right when I would get out of the shower, I'd put a shirt on. Because it's hard, it's crazy how much denial can play a role in all of this. Because it was like in my head, if I didn't see it, it wasn't real. And so, like, I wouldn't look in mirrors either, right? Like, I worked at a shoe store that there were mirrors they're full-length mirrors so people could look at what they're wearing or whatever. And I would walk by them and literally never look in the mirror. And so I don't even really remember what I look like. Obviously, there's some pictures and stuff. But other than that, like, if I didn't have those few pictures that I have, I wouldn't know.
You gotta understand, like, this is crazy because this is a guy who every time he walks by a mirror now stops, checks himself out a little bit, and then keeps going.
Well, it's because I have to make up for all the time lost.
Yeah.
And see, that's why I love it when you post your shirtless pictures, mm-hmm. because a lot of people are either like, oh, that's brave, or oh, I wouldn't do that. And then my mind is like, no, you don't understand why he's doing it. It's not doing it because there's a reason behind it, and it's because for so long you try to avoid it, and it's like now you accept your truth. Now you're happy with who you are, and you want to show that off. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's not it's not, I don't care what people think. It's what I feel. And that's why I love those pictures that you post, because you can show that it's like where your mentality was and where it's like, even now you're explaining that, and it's like, all right, see, these pictures make much more sense. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah, it's been a really, like, for me recently, I have been like posting more shirtless stuff, and but the only reason is because I have been shirtless more. Like, I've been going to the pool and actually, like, taking my shirt off, and, like, for a long time, I've had the loose skin for 5.5 years, 6 years, and I mean, I've been comfortable about it. It's not like I've been super stoked about it. I'm not, like, walking around with my shirt off before. But now, like, I've just gotten to a point where I've just, like, accepted it, and I understand why I have it. And now I just really think about it. Okay, if someone saw this and say they were disgusted or curious or whatever, right? Which disgusted, I think, is a strong word, but they were curious about it. If they really wanted to come up to me and they asked me about it, I really think the conversation would be a good conversation anyways. If they were like, oh, why do you have loose skin, or why does your skin look like that? I could be like, well, this is what happened. Blah, 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 yada, 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 right? Or I always think, this is like a dream that I have, but like if a little kid comes up to me and is like, oh, what's going on with your skin? I can be like, well, let me tell you. Don't become super obese because you know what I mean? Like, maybe it'll
not worth it.
It's not worth it. So like, but like it really has, I can see how someone might be from the outside looking in might be like, oh, he's just so full of himself posting shirtless pictures, but it truly like isn't about that. Cause like I was talking to my girlfriend recently about this, and we were talking about, I was like, I kind of took a step back and I was like, well, does it bother you that I'm like posting shirtless pictures? Because, it's, like you're posting half naked pictures, right? And because I never really thought about it to the fact of like, oh, someone might like think I'm like attractive, and they might think I'm like posting this as like it's some sort of thirst trap or something like that, right? But like, because for me, I truly, and this might sound bad, but when I see my body, I don't think of myself as like conventionally attractive. So I have never posted a shirtless picture, a shirtless video, thinking, oh man, this is gonna get the ladies to like it.
Right.
You know, like it literally has never even crossed my mind. But then I was talking to my girlfriend, and she was kind of explaining that, not saying that she doesn't mind it at all, but like maybe some people might see it as that, and that blew my mind, because for so many years I was the very, very obese guy. And now I just see myself as the guy that's lost weight. Like, I don't even think of it as, oh, I'm posting this because I'm trying to like get likes because I'm attractive or anything like that. So it's interesting. It definitely shifts. Like, my life has definitely shifted a lot from like since losing the weight.
Which is amazing though, because that just shows, like, you know, where you were then and where you are now. You know, which I love. You know what I'm saying? That's why I love seeing it. It's like, all right, cool. Like, you know, you're comfortable in your skin, which when you're a certain weight, that's the hardest thing to do, like, to be comfortable in your skin. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because even the first time I posted a shirtless picture with nothing on, like, oh my God, the anxiety just hit me hard. Like, I can't remember when it was, but I was like, at that point, I was like, well, I'm already here. Like, I always heard, like, be careful what you post on the internet, because once you post it, you can never get that back. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, well, let me hold myself accountable to this. Let me put this out there. And I was so, like, scared, you know, because it's like, it's not something you really want to show, especially, you know, because it's like, you like, you feel a certain way, but it's almost like a freedom. Once you do it, it's like, all right, here I am, like it or not, this is what I am, you know. And it's like a freedom, so I can relate to that.
Yeah, without a doubt. The freedom thing is, I think that's why I enjoy it so much, is because you almost always feel like you're hiding behind something. And so, like, it's funny that we talk about it like it's a big deal, because, like, to most people that have never been overweight, it's not even a thought that goes through someone's head. Like, you know what I mean? But for people that have dealt with, like, massive weight loss or have been massively overweight, it is this huge thing. And the more I do it, the more I truly, and I've always said this, but the more I realize, like, people just don't care about anyone else other than themselves. like people just don't care. Like, the most I think I've ever gotten at the pool was like a second look. That was it. Like, and then people would just go on with their lives because they don't care about you. You know, so.
Right.
I feel like it's a pretty common thing, though. Like, even people who are mildly out of shape, they don't want to, like, have pictures of them shirtless or in a bikini. You know what I mean? Like, that's, like, a pretty common thing. But there is, like, a different element of, like, your worst fear being...
You saying that, though, in my mind, I don't feel that way. Like, in my mind, when I was really overweight, I felt like everyone was... Like, when I was really overweight, I would see people that are, you know, say they're only 60 pounds overweight, and I'd be like, man... If I was only 60 pounds overweight, I'd be running around shirtless all the time, which isn't true. Yeah. But in my head, that's what I'm telling myself, because I'm so unhappy with where I am currently, right? Like, I remember when I'm not sure, I wonder if you had the same thing, or if you had the same thing. When I first started losing weight, I would, like, tell myself, if I just get down, like, 275, I'll be happy. Like, I never thought, like, I actually wanted to get down to I don't want to say, like, healthy weight, I guess you could call it, but, like, to a lean body, because in my head I just didn't think I could ever get there. So, like, I remember when I first started losing weight, I was like, once I'm under 300, I'll be happy, because then I'll be able to move. Did you have anything like that? Did you feel like that at all?
Yeah, I was like, if I lose 2 chins, I'll be good. I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be happy with losing 2 chins. But it gets kind of addicting, because once you start seeing your what you're capable, once you start seeing that you can actually do this, it becomes a little addicting, where it's like, I want to see if I can become the best version of myself possible. Mm-hmm. Like, I already know what it is to be the worst version of myself possible. I don't like that person, but now it's time to see if I can actually become the best version of myself possible. And it's like, you know, it's almost like a goal where, you know, that kind of keeps me going. Like, I'm like, I want to see how I am at my best.
So you said something earlier that I kind of want to get into. So how much weight have you lost right now?
Well, at the most I've lost was 258, but man, the last month and a half I've been going through some stuff, so my diet went off track. So I'm actually getting back on. So I'm at right now I've lost, without adding, no, I don't want to add the weight that I've already lost just to add. So maybe 238 maybe. I think the last time I weighed myself, trying to get back on track, but yeah.
So this is kind of like a 2-part question. Like,
238 pounds. Man.
Yeah, which is
That's
insane.
Wild.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, even that, like, that's awesome. But, like, you're talking about you have to, like, lose weight twice, right? Because you've lost 238 pounds and now you want to lose 238 more, essentially, right? Like, you want to do it twice. You're doing more. You are moving more. You are more conscious of what you're eating. You are meeting with trainers than most people who are technically within the healthy limits. You know, they just have different metabolism or different whatever. Like, you're doing more than them, and yet, I don't know. I'm asking here. Like, they can look at you and they can go like, "Wow, I can't believe that guy," you know. And like, you're doing more than them. Like, you are more active. You are on the journey. How do you deal with, do you even deal with it? Do you even let it get into your brain? And when it does get into your brain, like, how do you deal with the fact that, like, there are people out there who are doing nothing, and yet they still feel like they can look on your Instagram page and be like, wow, I can't believe this guy allowed himself to get there. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm asking? Is that making sense?
So, talking about the first time I went to Cali, right? The first time I went to California, and actually it's when I did the first video with Nike. They took me to this facility, and it was like it was a gym, right? But a bunch of athletes go there, right? So I was in Cali, I was having a good time, I felt confident, right? And then I get to this gym, and I look at everybody around me. Everybody looks like an athlete. Like everybody is built like an athlete. Like the way they move, the way And it's like for like a good minute in my head, I was like, dude, I don't like I shouldn't be here. Like I was really judging myself. I was really like, thinking like, man, like, damn, why am I here?
Yeah.
And that was like maybe a year ago. And so I feel it's like, yes, that is a thought that goes through my head where it's like, people still look at me and I can be like, man, I did all this work, but I still got so much to go. But the last 6 months maybe, I started training and I really started getting into self-love and I really started getting into looking more into myself and talking. And it's like, even though I'm not where these people are at, even though I'm not in the lane they're at, it's cool. I'm not on the race with nobody else. It's me versus me, and I'm trying to get to the best version of me possible. So, and it used to really bother me. Like it used to really bother me, and now it's to the point where it's like I look at people and it's like you may judge me, but I can take you on in the gym. I have no problem.
Yeah,
I can take you on in the gym, like if but and I guess that's just to make me laugh, but that's like.
But it's true, dude. Like
I feel good at this point.
Yeah. One of my if I had a fitness gravestone, right, and it was like how I want people to remember me when I'm gone, is like I truly believe that athlete is a mindset. Like it is not how you look, it is not how fast you are, how strong you are, how quick you are, whatever. Like it's your mindset. If you have the mindset of an athlete, like, oh, here's a challenge, let me overcome it. Hey, here, this is difficult. I need to work harder at it. Like, you're going to succeed. And I love that, like on your Instagram, like your business title or whatever is athlete, And it's like that's true. That's what it is. Like there was a guy who came to our gym. And he also had a lot of weight to lose, but he was determined to do it. And one time he came up to me, he's like, I feel like I can't call myself an athlete. And it was like, no, dude, like you are here, you're putting in the work every single day, you have challenges and you overcome them. You are more of an athlete than anyone else. Like athlete is a mindset. And that's what I see like in you is like, I'm an athlete. I don't care. Like I'm an athlete. And I love that.
Well, first of all, I do appreciate that. Thank you. And secondly, I agree with what you were saying. Like, the thing is, when people hear the word athlete, they have an image in their head, but it's not an image of a person you should be. Like you said, it's a mindset. It's like, what are you willing to do in order to get from point A to point B type of deal? Like, you may not be the fastest, you may not be the strongest, but you're moving. And that's much more than anybody. That's much more than most of the people are doing.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you're actually getting up, the fact that you're actually putting in the work, like, there's people who are not even like a quarter of your size, and they're doing that. They're not even doing that. So it's like you're an athlete. They're not an athlete. It's 100%. It's a mindset type of deal. So yeah.
What it would probably also say on John's gravestone, if his fitness gravestone is probably, it would say, ate too much Taco Bell, probably.
And then, comma, but he was happy.
Yeah, I feel you.
no, comma, but he was an athlete.
Were you...
Tacos and working out fits perfectly.
Hey, man,
it's true,
100%. 100%. You're speaking my love language now.
Oh, gosh.
When you had that leg infection, you had a fever, you didn't know what it was. I know for, like, my brother, and, like, a common theme is, like, they're terrified of the doctor. Because they already know what they're going to tell them. They already know, like, that decision to, okay, I need to go to the doctor. Was that a hard decision?
Hell yeah, it was. I didn't want to go. Like they made me go to the hospital. They made me go. I was like, I'm all right. I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine. Like I don't need it. They made me go because it's like you already know what they're gonna tell you. Oh, you need to lose weight. Oh, you have this. I know what I have. I don't need you to repeat what I have. It scared me even more. Like, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that we actually had so Jordan Sayat came on the podcast a couple podcasts ago. And we were kind of talking about the click moment that we kind of talked about. And it's interesting because the more people that I talk to, the more this point rings true that he brought up. So he talked about how fear is actually a really big motivator for, just for a lot of change. But it seems to be for a lot of people that are trying to lose a lot of weight. Because what he was saying was when you want to fall back on bad habits, remembering how scared you were or that fear you might have felt will push you to maybe do something that maybe if you just like, oh, I just want to lose weight because I want to look better in a tank top or whatever. Like that fear is a much bigger motivator, and hearing what you went through before you actually started losing the weight and really pushing it kind of rings true for that. Do you ever think to yourself, like, because one of the questions I get all the time when people are they want to lose weight and whatever. They hit a plateau. They're not motivated anymore, and they always ask me, "How do I stay motivated? What do I do to continue the motivation?" For you, do you ever I can ask you that question, but do you ever think of that moment in the bed and be like, "I don't want that to happen again"?
All the time, man. All the damn time.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly. For me in that moment, it was scary. It was hell for me, and I like thinking about it frequently. I like thinking about I'm even like that moment, right? I'm grateful for that moment. And I always say I'm grateful for my downfall. I'm grateful for all the BS I had to go through. Because of that, I'm here now. So whenever I feel like, whenever I'm at that point where I feel like, I really am gonna fall back, I start thinking back on situations like that when I was in the hospital bed, when I couldn't even get off the couch, when I was pretty much just had no life, and now I'm in this situation where, I'm losing this weight, I'm building this life for myself, So it's like I came from over there to here right now, and it scares me to go back to that situation. Mm-hmm. It scares me I'm more scared of going back to the position I am than I was than to failure. Like failure doesn't scare me. Like I fell almost every day, but the point is not to fail and stay down. The point is to fail and get your ass back up every time. That's what people don't understand.
Yeah.
Failure, you're not gonna escape that. That's always gonna be part of the journey. But the thing is, what are you gonna do after you fail? You need to get your ass back up. So for me, it's that. For me, I'm so scared to go back to that person who I was, that person who I pretty much hated, because I did hate myself, and now I'm in this person that I love myself. So it's like, I agree. I always look back at my downfalls and I'm like, I can't go back to that.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. So we've talked a ton about how you got to the size that you were and all that stuff and your click moment, but I'm kind of curious as, someone that was 700 pounds, what were the first steps you took to start your weight loss? Like what was day 1 through day 10 or whatever, what was that first thing you started doing?
And it's funny that you were talking about the video, how you said you wish you had a video like that. And my thing is, I wish I had more videos of me starting. Which if you're watching this and you're barely starting your journey, start documenting right now at the start. Because the one thing how I started, because I had the leg infection, I had the operation, That was already weak. On top of that, like I always said, getting off the couch was a fight on its own.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, starting was literally just walking back and forth in my apartment for the first 2 months, I believe, from my recovery. Every day, I started off with one lap. I started at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it got to pretty high numbers. So for like the first 2 months, it was just me walking back and forth. Baby steps, like baby steps.
And then so I'm curious about like the diet. So I would like to ask, like, what was maybe a typical day before you maybe like started your journey at all? Just eating whatever you wanted versus what it was when you were like, okay, I'm going to start at least being a little bit more aware of what I'm eating.
Pop. Sorry for my Midwest accent. Pop played a big key. Like the first thing I removed from my diet was pop. And that brought big change to me. I saw a big change. I started replacing pop with water. My bad. Before all that, it was like, I don't know, a 2-liter pop, a large piece of the frozen ones. I used to have multiple. They used to be very like it. And then it's when it started changing, I just started replacing small things. Like at first, less pop, more whole foods. Like if it was man-made, like fast foods, junk foods, I would try to replace. It's hard. It is very hard. So it took me a while to replace all that. And even now where I'm at, I still have like cravings where I'm like, the cravings don't go away, my people. That don't go away. Those are if you like something, you're not gonna stop liking something just because you want to make a change. It's just you gotta fight it.
Yeah.
But it just starts with replacing the little things. Like that's why I don't want to say I don't like. I guess I don't like when I see so many extreme diets and all that where it's like, oh, you should be doing this, and this. I'm like, no, first you should probably know the basics instead of just jumping into something like that. Like I would recommend you learn the basics first. Like learn what's good and what's bad before you start jumping into some crazy ass diet.
Yeah.
I think that I've always said that the bigger that you are, the smaller the change that you make, you'll see a bigger result, right? So like for you, talking about soda, I was the same way. Like I would drink a 2-liter soda a day almost every single day. A lot of times it was more than that. And so for me, just cutting out soda made a huge difference for me. So if you have 200 pounds, if you have 300 pounds, you can make it might not seem small to you at the time, right? Like taking soda out for me was a huge deal, but looking back, it wasn't that big of a change because you can modify, you could add flavored water or whatever it might be, right?
Right.
And so those small changes will add up, especially the bigger that you are. So that's why I always tell people, everyone wants to go from 0 to 100 when they want to lose weight, and it's just not necessary. Like maybe eventually get to 100, but even then, like I don't think you need to be 100% perfect ever. There's no reason for it,
Right.
So like if you're at 0 right now, say by 0 I mean like you're just eating typical Western diet, fast food, junk food, soda all the time. If you start at 10, that's still 10 better than 0. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to make these huge changes because the bigger the change, the harder it is to maintain that change, right? So when you make that small change of just cutting out soda for a while, right, and you do that for a few weeks, you see the results. And results, I am almost 100% convinced that results are one of the biggest motivators out of anything. Like, it doesn't matter how many YouTube videos you watch. It doesn't matter how many, motivational speeches you watch. If you're not seeing results, it is so hard to stay motivated. So, like, once you see those results of losing, a couple pounds because you cut outside, you're like, man, all right, let me do this. Let me cut this out. Maybe I'll switch this around. So I think I agree 100%. Like, you don't need to do these crazy diets because a lot of people, they'll do them, they fail, and then they feel like they're a failure. They feel like they can't lose weight.
That was my problem when I first started. We're talking about earlier, what was the difference then and now? It's like I used to try all these quick. Like I said, all these diets out here, they're not new. Like, these been around since, like, my dad, was here. Like, like, these are not new. And it's like I've tried most of them. And the thing is, like, I always try to find that quick fix. And it wasn't until, like, I started like eating, lean meats and veggies and stuff like that, and actual food that I felt, I found my results where I felt like, okay, I like, this, because this is something I can maintain. It's not something that I'm gonna feel overwhelmed with. Like I feel like a lot of people think like, oh, because you're trying to lose weight, because you're on your diet, you're supposed to be miserable, which is like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not miserable whatsoever. Like, I love this. It's like. And I feel like a lot of people think it's like you have to go to such an extreme just to lose weight, which in the end is just going to backfire on you and just going to set you back even more.
Yeah, and like with the crazy diets, so I just made a post literally right before we started the podcast, and it was like about like if you go to a veterinarian, the veterinarian doesn't put your cat and dog on like keto and like cleanses and stuff like that. And people are like getting mad at me, like I don't actually have a problem with keto. I don't have a problem with any of these diets. Like if it works for you, that's great. The issue I have is the people that are on these diets, they almost turn it into some sort of like religion for them. And then they preach it to everyone like you need to do this, and if you don't, you're not going to be able to lose weight. It's like, no, keto definitely works for some people. I've seen a lot of people lose weight on it, but it's without a doubt, if you're just trying to lose weight, it is not necessary. And it makes so many choices for you not available, right? You cannot eat carbs basically. So you're cutting out a whole macronutrient out of your diet. So it makes you feel like you have to be a slave to this diet when like you shouldn't feel that way. Your diet should improve the quality of your life. It should make you feel good. And I'm sure keto makes some people feel good. I'm without a doubt. But I would say for most people that aren't going to be 100% into keto and are just going to try it out, they're going to try it out, not succeed, again, and then that cycle is going to continue of tried out a diet, failed the diet, I'm a failure. Tried out a diet, failed the diet. So that's why
Okay, so we just had a minor moment where we had to stop the podcast, but we're back. Sorry about that.
So like I was saying,
we sound like we're repeating something, that's why.
Yeah, we apologize. But so like I was saying, when you do those diets, you just feel like that failure cycle continues. Try a diet, you start a diet, fail a diet, feel like a failure, blah, blah, blah. That is why I am so, I guess you could say against, but why I advise to just make sure that if you are going to do it, that you can 100% do that diet. Because like, especially when it comes to keto, that diet is, you have to be 100% on point, because it's not like you can just get in and out of ketosis. It doesn't work like that. You really are changing the energy system in your body. Your body is no longer burning the carbs, it's going to be burning the fats, right? And I mean, that's like a very layman's term example of it. But if you start like slipping off of it, you're not even doing keto anymore, right? So it's just so easy to fail those diets. So that's why I'm always just like, you don't need to do anything crazy like that. You can make these small changes, and especially like I always say, the more weight you got, the smaller the change, you can see a huge result, and that'll motivate you to continue.
Oh man, the first the first 100 pounds that I lost were the easiest weight loss. I pretty much didn't have to do anything but change my eating. You know what I'm saying? And I feel you, I have nothing against keto or any other diets, but for me it's a lot, like I said, a lot of people want to jump into these diets without even knowing the minimum of just, basic nutrition, I've had conversations with people and they're like, oh yeah, look at the back of the box. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to multiply that by that. And they do like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, so you want to do these diets, but you don't know the basics. It's like, for me, that's the biggest thing. When I was talking about when I first started my journey, I had to start walking, and now I'm moving the way I'm moving. You can't run without crawling. You have to learn, how to get to that point. If not, you're just going to land on your face and you're going to be like, what the hell just happened? And then you're going to get discouraged.
I can't eat, I love that you said that about the box, and it's crazy how just not informed most people are when it comes to nutrition, to the, like you said, the absolute basics of being like, okay, this is 150 calories. Oh, that's not too bad. Yeah, but look at how many servings. Okay, there's 4 servings, so it's actually 600 calories. There's so many people that don't even know that are trying to jump into these diets that are so intensive of knowledge and understanding nutrition. You need to, like you said, walk or crawl before you walk before you run. I really think if you want to get into keto, make sure you understand nutrition and understand it very well before you jump into that. Again, nothing wrong with it, but you can't just jump straight into it. So
Right,
yeah,
like
100% agree.
Know what you got. Know what you're getting yourself into before you get yourself into it. Because yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, once you again, it's just knowledge. Like, how much knowledge is important. Like, if you do slip up, you recognize, oh, I didn't destroy everything. Like, oh, okay, I just get back on, and it's like
Right.
that, like what you were talking about, like that necessity, like that drive to continue despite failure. It's not like that you're trying to avoid failure, but that you're embracing failure as an opportunity to learn for your next situation,
Well,
No, go ahead.
my bad. I think that, talking about failure, I think all that all goes back to like when you're in school and when you're growing up, when it's like when people tell you, oh, you shouldn't fail because if you fail, it's a bad thing. It's like, and that's like beat into you like from like since you're in school, like you're not supposed to fail. You're supposed to do everything right. When it's like, that's total BS. Where it's like the reason you fail is so you can learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like. And that's why it's like I want people to know that it's like if there's one thing that I want people to get away from what I'm doing is that it doesn't matter how many times you fail, it doesn't matter how many times you fall, it doesn't matter how far down rock bottom you are. There's always a way out. There's always an opportunity for change, but it's like you have to be stubborn with it. You have to be resilient. You're gonna get knocked down. You're gonna get hurt. It's part of the process. But you gotta learn from it. You don't quit the first time you fall. You get your ass back up and you keep going.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about, because I think this is super interesting, like how did you get like linked up with Nike? Because that video that you made, I mean, it's super inspiring. I really, you should go watch it. If you haven't seen it, I would go type in that big guy, 700 pounds, Nike, it'll pop up. Like how did that even start, right? Like how did you even get in contact with them, and what was that experience like recording the video?
Dude, I thought it was a joke at first. For real, I thought it was a joke. Because someone hit me up saying, hey, we work with Nike, this, and this. And I told my business partner about it, hey, what's up, Ashley? I told her about it, and I'm like, man, it's a joke or something, because it's like I thought it was a joke. People are like, hey, we work for Nike, we want to talk to you. I'm like, okay, like it doesn't seem, especially for a person in my position, so it's like I wasn't, instead of cussing them out or anything like that, I was like, all right, let's see how far they're gonna take it, right? Let's see. And we were in communication for like I think a month, and it wasn't until like I was walking into the Nike offices in Chicago, I'm like, this is not a joke, This was it. I was like, this kid had gone so wrong if I decided to take another way. So I'm like, all right, cool. But man, from there we just started talking, and it just, it honestly, because it happened so fast, it happened so fast, and it came out of nowhere. And it's like 1 second we were talking, and then about, I don't know, a couple months later, that's when I was in Cali filming the video and all that, and yeah, man, it's just been crazy, just the fact that, Nike would pay attention to this side of the community, because I feel like the people who are obese, the people who are overweight, are so like they're like not ignored, but they're not even looked at. It's like a what's it called? It's a group of people that is just like, oh, okay, it's there, especially when you grow up too, there was no big people to look up to. I don't remember, like the closest one I can remember is probably Chris Farley, which was like the comedian, and even him, he hated playing parts because he was just a fat guy, So it's like for the fact that Nike would reach out and be like, hey, we want to include this, group of people, want to show that what we're about, and it was just crazy for me. And then we did the video, and it was just like it came out on the ESPYs, I believe, and just seeing that was like, man, I would never picture myself like ever seeing myself in the Nike commercial. So it was awesome. I really hope to work with them again. So yeah.
I think that like what you said about a community that's kind of like shunned or just isn't given representation, I think that the thing that's crazy is, I would say the obese population and people that have like a lot of weight to lose, that's the most important population to get in the gym. because the gym's important for everybody. I think everybody should be working out. Everybody should be doing something. It doesn't have to be in the gym, but everyone should be moving their body. It's incredibly important, but I would say it's more important the larger that you are, because once you lose that mobility of being able to get up, like you said, it was hard for you to get up out of the couch. Like once that's gone, it is a very fast decline to. It sounds like scary, but like to death, right? Like once you can no longer get up and move around on your own, you're going to become way more dependent on other people, which is now you're going to be more of a burden on others, which I'm sure nobody really wants that, right? And you're going to have to rely on them to bring you food, to bring all that stuff. So those relationships are going to get strained. But more importantly is your health is going to rapidly decline. Like when you see, like one of the shows that I like to watch is My 600-Pound Life. And it's like that show is terrifying to watch. Just because I remember I had just accepted that was going to be my future, and this was before that show was ever out. But like that, when I see that stuff, it's really interesting for me to see it. But at the same time, man, it brings me back to a point where I was like scared, man, like really scared of getting to that moment. But it's weird because I say scared, but at the same time, I had completely accepted it,
Right.
And so I think that, like, I'm just so happy for you for making that change and not getting to that point, because I truly feel so sad for people that get there. And, I make a lot of videos now talking about the health at every size movement, talking about those type of movements. And a lot of people that might see the videos that have never even been close to a morbidly obese size might see it as me being mean, but it truly is coming from a place of like, I was terrified of getting to that point, and I don't want other people to get there. So that's why when I say health at every size, I can never completely agree with it, is because you have to look at the extremes. You have to look at the people that are very, very skinny, that are like anorexic, that can't lose or like can't gain any weight, or are not making themselves gain any weight. But then you have to look at the other sides of like, it is not healthy to be 700 pounds. And like it's a terrifying place to be. And so like, yeah, you can work on your health at any size without a doubt. Absolutely. Right. But the reason I get so, I don't even want to say upset, but the reason I just don't agree with the health at every size is because when you say every, that's every size. And it's terrifying. It's a terrifying position to be in when you can no longer literally like live on your own because you can't get out of the bed, or what I mean? So it's a scary position, man.
I used to hate to watch that show because I felt like I felt like that was the future I was heading towards, and that was like I said, like you said, you accepted it at some point. And I agree with you on the what's it called, on the health therapy side you were saying. I'm not really I'm not too familiar with that. But from what it sounds, it's like a lot of people don't understand. Like, yes, confidence does come with I feel like it's important in every size, but I feel like it gets to a point where it doesn't matter if you're confident or not. You're gonna die if you keep going this direction you're going. Like, you can be as confident as you want in yourself, but if you don't make a change, like it could be very deadly. Like man, for me, honestly, it could have gone either way. Like I'm blessed to be here, but honestly, I could have been in the grave right now. You know, it's like it's scary because it gets to a point. It's like when you start, as far as obesity, it's like it gets to a point. It's like, no, this is like, you're killing yourself. You are killing yourself. There's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way that you are killing yourself. It is suicide slowly. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I felt, when I started, like when I was starting to lose the weight and I really started to understand, I'm like, man, I was killing myself. I was committing suicide slowly, and man, it's just a horrible ass feeling, and once you get away from that, once you start understanding that, once you start seeing the truth, it's like you start looking at the world different.
Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, it really does. You're able to look back at what you were doing, and you're just like, I'm able to look back at what I did when I was at my heaviest. I'm like, it's crazy because it's all about life experiences and like that led you up to that point. But it's just, I look back at the things I did and I'm just like, why did I think that was a normal thing to do? Like I would go to McDonald's, right? And I would get 2 McDoubles, 2 McChickens, a large fry, and a large, like, one of their big drinks, and that would be lunch. And, like, if I ate that now, I'd probably puke, you know? Like, but again, it was all that life experience and everything that I had done that led me to that point to where I thought that was okay. Yeah. And so it's, oh man, 100% I agree.
It's horrible. It's horrible, man. It is horrible. Like, I forgot who, I think I was talking to my coach, right? And I was telling him, you know, I remember when I was this weight, right? I felt like crap all the time. But because I felt like crap all the time, I felt it was normal. I felt like it was normal to feel the way I was feeling. And it wasn't until I started feeling better. It wasn't until my emotions started to get better. It wasn't until my health started to get better. It wasn't until I started to get better is when I realized, like, that's not normal. What I went through, what I did, those emotions, that is not normal. And it is horrible when you're in them, because when you're in them, you can get so dragged into them where it's like it just becomes a reality and you don't understand that it's bad.
Yeah, well, 100%. Like, one of the things I talk about is when I was, 20 years old was my heaviest. I was 20 years old, literally terrified I was going to have a heart attack at any moment. But that was normal to me. Like, that was my normal. But now that I look back at that, I'm just like, that's unbelievable. 20 years old, fearing for your life every day. Like, I was afraid to be alone at the house because I was like, well, if something happens, no one's going to be here, and I won't be able to do anything about it. And so, again, like, yeah, it might be normal for you, but you're able to look back at it, and you're like, wow, I'm glad that's not normal for me anymore.
See, I had sleep apnea, which was my biggest thing. And my old man, my father, he used to walk into me. Like, my old man, he used to, like, watch me sleep because he used to say, man, you there's moments where you would stop breathing at night. Like, there's moments where you would just stop. Like, I would completely stop breathing at night. And he would be terrified that I was going to die the next, you know, he would wake up with me dead. And for me, I remember there's times I would wake up with such, like migraines where I felt like half of my head was just, being split open. And it was just from, like, me not receiving oxygen to my head, like, to my brain enough. And it wasn't until I started losing more weight where I started, like, actually sleeping better, where I can now finally sleep on my back and continue breathing. And it wasn't until, like, I started actually getting a good night's sleep when I was like, holy crap, I have not had a good night's sleep in I don't know how many years. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's scary. It is so scary. Like, and a couple people who are not in it may not understand it. They'd be like, they must be thinking, oh, they're fat. That's it. Like, no, it's much more than that. Like, the emotional weight that comes with it. Like, man, it's like, I don't wish obesity on anybody. It's not a good thing for me. It wasn't a good thing for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so happy and grateful that it didn't break me. So.
Yeah, I 100%. I agree with what you're saying, and it's funny because there could be people that hear what you said, I don't wish obesity on anyone, and think you're trying to shame people, when in reality it's like, no, man, you've just been to the darkest point that you can be, and you understand that.
And see, to me, that's the best. Like, to me, like, the one upside, right? The one upside about hitting 700 pounds is, like, what's it called? It's like, no, you can't tell me. Like, to me, it's like, no, you can't tell me. Like, I was 700 pounds. Like, I was at a point where most people don't understand. So you cannot come and tell me this, and this. It's like, no, because I was there. You weren't there. And it's the same thing for you. Like, even though you weren't, like you said, you weren't at that weight. A lot of people don't understand what it means to be this weight. A lot of people don't understand doesn't mean to have this. It is hard and it is heavy. And when people don't understand certain situations, they like to talk about it like it's easy. It's not easy. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
So I wanted to ask, you kind of brought up your trainer, and I'm just curious about this from my own
Coach
curiosity.
David.
Yeah, well, because and the gym that you go to too just seems super cool. Like, how did you get linked up with that whole situation?
Nike. Yeah, it was crazy because it was like I didn't start training with Coach David. First of all, what's up, Coach? $1 Million Day. I did it maybe 6-7 months ago, and that's when my training really got off the ground. Because before I was really focused on like movement, working out where it's like my body stood still. It wasn't until I really got training with Coach that my body started moving like an athlete, sideways, up, and I started running, I started jogging, I started doing so much more than just standing still. So it's been crazy. Just from like those 6 months ago till now, totally different, like as far as athletic wise.
What was it like the first time you stepped into that gym?
Scary. Because I started thinking, like I was telling you about Cali. When I was there and I walked into that gym, I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like, man, maybe what am I doing here? And it wasn't until I stepped into that gym and I felt the exact same way. And he was like, nah, man, like, you understand, like, you're an athlete in your own way. You're not, he's like, you can't be worrying too much about what other people are doing. You got to be worrying about what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, then let them finish their race. You're on your own race. You're on your own pace. You know what I'm saying? And that really, like, you know what I'm saying? That really, like, started to change the way I started looking at things. So, like, now I pop up to the gym, right? And you got actual athletes that play sports. And they're like, shaking my hand. They're like, oh, dude, you're an inspiration and all that. And it wasn't until I realized, man, if like you got to focus on what you're doing. You got to stay focused on your lane. You got to stay focused on what's ahead of you. You can't stay too focused on what's on other people's plates or how green the other people's grasses are, whatever metaphor or whatever the other people use to say. It's like you just got to stay focused on you. And when you start staying focused on you, when you start staying focused on your lane, you start to see that magic starts happening for you.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Yeah, I think that, like, seeing you in the gym, too, is, like, can be motivating for maybe some of those people that are a little bit nervous, to step into the gym. Because I've always said that almost anytime you step into a gym, when people have that gym intimidation, they're nervous, I'm telling you right now, the most you'll notice is maybe someone gives you a second look, but like that's going to be about it because people are focused on themselves. Like nobody is going in there. They're not going to be staring at you your whole workout. And if they are, like that person's garbage and just, you don't need to talk to them. But like I've never seen that in my entire life.
Agreed.
And for me, like, again, like this might be a little different because I've been there, but when I see someone that's, really overweight, it's not like I'm going up to them and shaking their hand because, people don't like to be noticed, which is fine. But I see it and I'm just like, that's awesome. And I'm stoked.
That is.
And that's it,
I was so nervous. Like, and this is before I even started going to this gym. This is when I first started my journey. When I first day I went to the gym, I was so nervous. I was so scared because, at that point, it's like you're scared of what people think about you. You don't want to be judged. And once I got there, I was so scared and I realized that no one was looking at me. And I was like, oh, my bad. Like everybody has their own problems. Everybody's trying to better themselves. Everybody's trying to get to the point where they're a better version of themselves. So they don't got time to worry about you. They're too preoccupied worrying about themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
There's actually this. Me and John recently moved into a house together, and so I'm in a different part of San Diego. So I've been going back. I actually go to the gym that I started at, and so it's like it's a regular 24-hour fitness. But they have one thing I've noticed, which is really cool. This is off topic, but the trainers seem to be a lot better there now. Like the people are doing a lot more functional movements, probably similar to what you're doing at the gym that you go to. But that's besides the point. So there's this this trainer that I see that he's training this woman that's relatively large, right? And they're like pushing it. And every time I see it, like I see them, it's not like I'm like staring, but every time I notice, I'm like, that's so cool. And I'm just so stoked that she's in there pushing herself, And I would venture to say that most people, when they see someone that's obese, super obese, whatever word you want to use, in the gym pushing themselves, I can't imagine someone actually seeing that being like, get out of my gym. Like they're thinking, this is awesome. I'm glad this person's here. Like that's why I get so upset when I see anybody that might be, talking bad about someone that might be larger in the gym, because I'm like, that's what the gym's for. It's not for, it's for everybody, but that's who's going to get the most value out of it. The things that they're doing right now are literally saving their life. And they're helping them be more mobile. And so I would say that most people, when they see someone that's really, really overweight in the gym, they're more stoked than anything. They're more excited to see them than probably any other random meathead at the gym that's like just doing a workout, Like,
yeah, 100%.
Without a doubt.
You have to be some type of a-hole to look at somebody who's trying to better themselves and then judge them for trying to better themselves. Like that's like if you're gonna sit there and judge someone for being at the gym trying to lose the weight, you're the type of person I don't want to be around, because you're just a horrible human being, and I kind of feel sorry for you because there's a reason you're that way. So what kind of trauma do you have? But I feel you, man. Because when I see big people working out, I'm like, yeah, I love it. Because it's like you see more. Because I feel like you get more of a drive when you see someone bigger at the gym. Because it's like, man, these people have it harder than most people, and they're still here trying to get it, and they're still here trying to better themselves. So what the hell is my excuse? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree. Love it.
Absolutely.
Cool, dude. Well, just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for coming on this podcast, man.
Oh man, thank you guys. I appreciate it for real.
Yeah, bro. We really appreciate it. I mean, I kind of have one more question. Like, I like to ask this to people that have lost a lot of weight. So if you were, say, talking to someone that is in the position you were at when you first started, and you were to give them, they were like, I want one piece of advice. What would be the piece of advice you would give them?
Oh man, that's a good one. Be stubborn with your goal. Be stubborn with your dream. Like I said, it was all going back to like just because you fall, just because you slip, it doesn't mean it's over. It just means that you got to get back up and go even harder. So, if I can give one piece of advice, is be stubborn with it. Like, don't give up so easily. Like, be stubborn with it how you would be stubborn with stuff that doesn't matter. Like, if you fall, be like, nah, I'm gonna get my ass back up and I'm gonna keep going. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, keep that energy. Don't allow yourself to just give up like that. Because it's probably if you just give up like that, you're not gonna get nowhere in life. So be stubborn with your stuff.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, bro. We really appreciate it.
Oh man, thank you guys. I really do appreciate it too.
Awesome, dude. Have a good day, bro.
Yeah,
All right,
see
man.
you, man.
Have a good weekend.
Peace
Take
out.
it easy, guys.
You too.